Okay, so let's talk about Theodore Adorno. He was, without a doubt, one of the most challenging thinkers of the 20th century. And he looked at a world that was absolutely convinced of its own endless, inevitable progress. And he just had to ask this really unsettling question, a question that honestly still hits home today. And here it is. This is the big paradox that just haunted Adorno. I mean, think about it. How could the exact same century that gave us amazing things like airplanes and penicillin also produce the absolute horror of totalitarianism and the Holocaust? How did the Age of Reason, this great project of enlightenment, lead to something so deeply, profoundly irrational? Adorno basically spent his entire life trying to figure this out, trying to diagnose the sickness he saw right at the heart of modern society. So, where does he even begin with this massive problem? Well, his first big diagnosis targets something we all know, something we interact with every single day: entertainment. He and his colleague Max Horkheimer came up with this term, the culture industry. And their whole point was that this system isn't just there to entertain us. Oh no, it's designed to actually shape how we think and feel. And if there's one word you need to remember to get Adorno's critique, it's this: sameness. For him, this wasn't some kind of weird accident or a side effect. It was the entire point. The whole goal of the culture industry, as he saw it, is to create this totally predictable, uniform landscape of culture, one where there's just no room left for any real surprise or, and this is crucial, any critical thought. Yeah, think of it like this, right? You've got a factory, and it's just churning out identical widgets, one after another, all serving the exact same purpose. Well, Adorno looked at our culture and saw the same thing happening with songs, with movies, with TV shows. He argued that their real purpose isn't to challenge you or make you think. Nope. It's to calm you down, to pacify you after a long day at work, just so you're rested enough to get up and do it all again tomorrow. This system, he said, doesn't create active citizens. It creates passive consumers. So this really breaks down the core conflict Adorno was talking about. You've got two sides. On one side, you have what he called authentic or autonomous art. You know, the stuff that's unique, maybe a little complex, even difficult. It's designed to make you think, to provoke you. But then on the other side, you have the culture industry. And what does it offer? Standardized, formulaic, easy pleasure. It gives you this illusion of choice, right? But for Adorno, every single option just leads you right back to the same comfortable and, most importantly, uncritical place. Okay, but why? Why did this happen? For Adorno, this whole culture industry thing, it was really just a symptom. The real disease, he thought, was something much deeper, a kind of flaw buried right in the DNA of Western thought itself. And that brings us to his most famous and maybe most difficult idea, the dialectic of enlightenment. You see, the Enlightenment had this incredible promise, right? We were going to free ourselves from myth and superstition using the pure power of reason. But Adorno and Horkheimer argued that something went wrong. This reason became what they called instrumental. It wasn't about understanding anymore. It was just a tool for controlling and dominating everything: the natural world, other people, even ourselves. So the great dream of human liberation, ironically, just ended up creating new and way more efficient systems of control. So here's the core idea of the dialectic of enlightenment, the very tool we use to escape the old myths, reason. Well, it turned into its own opposite. It became a new and, in some ways, much more powerful myth. It became the myth of total calculation, of pure efficiency. And what kind of world does that create? A world where everything and everyone has to be measured, categorized, and made useful. And that's the tragic twist in the story. The grand quest to demystify the world, to chase away the shadows with the light of reason, it just ended up creating a new, colder, more calculating myth. The idea that everything can and should be controlled. From Adorno's perspective, it's like humanity broke out of the prison of nature only to turn around and build a brand new high-tech prison for ourselves. All right, so if reason itself is the trap, then what do? How do we possibly escape? Now, Adorno doesn't give us some easy 5-step plan. He's not that kind of thinker. Instead, what he proposes is a completely different way of thinking. A method designed to help us resist that constant pressure to make everything fit into neat and tidy boxes. You know, our normal, everyday way of thinking is what Adorno called identity thinking. It's pretty simple. We come up with a concept, let's say tree, and then we try to make every single real tree out there fit into that neat little conceptual box. We just point and say, yep, that's a tree. A equals A. Simple. But Adorno, he comes along and just flips this whole idea on its head. He argues that the most important truth isn't found in how something fits our concept. No, it's in how it doesn't fit.
It's in the specific, weird knotholes on that particular tree, or the unique way its leaves are wilting. It's all the messy, real details that our clean, perfect concept of tree just completely ignores. He wants us to focus on that contradiction, on the part that always escapes our grasp.
And this method has a name: negative dialectics. Really, it's a commitment to, well, to think against our own thoughts. It's about constantly recognizing that our concepts, our neat little boxes, are never a perfect match for the messy, complicated reality out there. It's a way of thinking that, for Adorno, keeps the possibility of freedom alive, precisely because it refuses to accept any final, total, all-encompassing explanation for anything. And this brings us full circle, right back to art. See, for Adorno, truly great art, and he means the difficult, challenging stuff, is basically negative dialectics in practice. It's the stuff that refuses to be just another easy-to-digest product. It's the art that shows us the suffering and the contradictions that our tidy, comfortable worldview tries so hard to hide. In a way, it's like a training ground for the critical mind. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds pretty abstract, right? Maybe a bit of a relic from the 20th century, but I want you to consider that Adorno's warnings might actually be more relevant right now, today, than they have ever been. I mean, just look around you. The culture industry is alive and kicking. It is the streaming service algorithm that keeps feeding you the same kind of show over and over, so you never have to risk choosing something genuinely challenging. It's the endless cycle of blockbuster sequels and remakes that promise something new, but just deliver the exact same formula you've already seen a dozen times. It's a culture that is totally designed for frictionless, easy consumption. But it's so important to get this right. Adorno isn't just a pessimist, okay? It's better to think of him as a watchman on the wall. His whole philosophy is like a warning siren, and it's urging us constantly to stay vigilant. He's asking us to be deeply skeptical of any system that promises us perfect, easy convenience, because the price we pay for all that comfort might just be our own freedom to think differently. And so, that really leaves us with Adorno's final challenge, a challenge directly to us. In a world that is meticulously designed for your comfort, a world designed to make you predictable, to get you to click yes, and just consume whatever is put in front of you, do you dare to be difficult? Do you have the courage to seek out the thing that doesn't quite fit, the thing that makes you uncomfortable, the thing that ultimately forces you to actually think for yourself?